Welcome to this edition of Soul of Warren County. I'm your host, Mickey Gwynn. It's always good to have a previous guest come back to visit us, and that's the case today as we welcome back Shauna Samuel. But unlike her first visit, where she talked primarily about her life and career, today she's going to inform us about the Warren County Nurses Honor Guard and the great things they're doing for the community. Shauna, welcome back to Soul of Warren County.
Thank you for having me back.
Before we get started about the Honor Guard specifically, tell us a little bit about where you are in your life right now.
All right. I still work at McMinnville Medical Associates as a nurse practitioner, going on 6 years now. That keeps me busy, obviously. But I am adding on a new endeavor, which is trying to get my private pilot's license.
Oh, wow.
So the Warren County Memorial Airport has started a flying club, the EAA 1700, chapter number 1700.
Okay.
I might need to redo that. But so they're offering flying lessons and chartering a plane and all these type of things. So that's where I'm headed.
Interesting that you say that. There's so many people, when you talk about flying, it's like, oh no, I dread flying and all that kind of thing. Have you always enjoyed flying?
Absolutely.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Were you, at one time, you were with one of the flight evacuation groups, right? As I remember
Black
correctly.
Force?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that's right. That's
Briefly.
right. So there's always been that sort of relationship with flying. I just
Right.
thought about that. Good. Well, I wish you all the best, and who knows, one day you may be flying one of those 747s over.
No.
Not going there. Okay.
No. I'll keep it small.
You keep it small. Okay. All right. Okay. Let's talk about the Honor Guard. Sort of where did it start? How did it begin? And we'll just sort of talk about how we've gotten to where we are today.
Absolutely. So the Nurse Honor Guard started in 2021. One of our members, Lisa Donaldson, she's the president, was a member of the Tennessee Honor Guard in Cookeville. And after participating in a service, she thought it would be a good idea to have one in our area. So she spoke with me and 3 other ladies, and we chartered the group. And from that point on, it's been full steam ahead. We've actively participated in 20 services with our county and surrounding counties. And we just do a lot.
When you say you chartered your program, is there a national program that you get that charter through, or how does that work?
No, each county county can start their own service.
Mm-hmm.
And we're just the charter members, the ones that founded it.
The founded, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then we had our first meeting, and then 20 others joined us at that time.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
What do you use as criteria for someone, for say, there's a death?
Mm-hmm.
How do you determine if indeed the Honor Guard can be part of that ceremony?
Right. To use our services, you have to have been LPN or an RN.
Okay.
And we have, though, if there was like a MA, medical assistant, or someone that was really heavily thought of, we don't perform the service for them, but we have what we call stood guard for them.
Okay.
So, which means that we will stand one at the head and one at the foot of the casket, and then silently just stand guard and showing respect for that person and their role in the medical field.
Take us through, I know you do more ceremonies than just at funerals and things of that nature, but is that your most intricate ceremony, is for funerals? Take us a little bit through how would you do those ceremonies? Is there certain protocols that you go through?
Yes. So, yes, there's a certain protocol. However, it can be tailored as needed. Maybe depending on the size of the facility or however many family members there are. So usually what happens is one of the funeral homes or a family member may reach out to us asking for us to participate or come do a service for their loved one. So we'll reach out to other members and then see who all can go. Then we will we'll march in, and one of us carries a lantern, one carries a triangle, and one carries a rose. And so we will line up at the head of the casket or in front of the casket, and then we give a speech, and then we will either give the rose to the family member or place it on the casket. We'll give the lantern, which represents nursing in general, to a family member as well. And then we'll ring the triangle 3 times and relieving that person of their duty of a nurse.
Oh, okay. Now, is this done in the chapel or graveside?
Both.
Both. Okay.
So we've done at the chapel and graveside services as well. So we can make it work wherever.
So do you work with the family to try to determine where you're going to do the ceremony at? Or how does that work?
Usually the family has already determined where the services are going to be, and then we just kind of make it work. You know, we don't want to stress the family or anything like that, so we'll make it work among ourselves how to make sure it looks professional and make them feel proud that they've asked us to join to do it for them.
Now, you say they will touch base with one of your members or maybe the funeral home. Do you vet that the person is indeed a nurse, or is that a small enough cadre of people in this area where you already know that they were a nurse?
Pretty much, we all know each other.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
And so, and we do, if there's a name like that comes across, and we'll ask, is there one of us that knows that person? Because a lot of times, like, you know, there's one of the speeches that we give, like maybe if it's someone that I really know, maybe I want to do that part of the speech. So we kind of mix it up. Or maybe I know the family member and I want to be the one to give the rose or the lantern, and vice versa. You know, we just kind of swap it up. So we usually know each other pretty well, and you know, we don't really fact check, I don't think. So we trust that you'd be honest about that.
Show me your degree, or their degree. I guess you want to ask the person at that point.
No, we wouldn't do that.
The ceremony itself, is this something y'all came up with? Did you look at other ceremonies that were being performed and maybe adapt and change some things? How did you come up with sort of your final standard for your ceremonies?
So we looked at some other ceremonies, and from that point, then we kind of adapted our own. I've seen another ceremony, actually, my cousin that passed away last month, and she lived in Georgia. And so I met another Nurse Honor Guard group, and they did theirs just a little bit different, but it was still just as touching.
Yeah. And I can imagine it can be an emotional time for the family.
Yeah.
And I'm sure they really appreciate y'all being there to help with the ceremonies. I think sometimes being a military person, you can sometimes get a little too elaborate. You know, it sort of takes away from the true meaning of why you are there and that kind of thing. So from what you've told me about the ceremonies and things, it seems like those are sort of ideal. The lantern, you say, is a symbol of nursing. Now, does this go back to the Florence Nightingale era?
Yes, absolutely. So even when, you know, we graduate from nursing, whether it be an LPN program or an RN program, the lantern is the symbol, and we all get one. We all light one, you know, and as our pledge saying that we will take care of patients and all that. So, yeah, it's part of it.
Okay, so it has a long history of that lantern being part of that. And do you work with the family also on exactly who will be receiving that, or is it a specific, if there's a spouse, you give it to them, or do you just ask the family who would like to receive it?
We ask the family, and sometimes, you know, maybe they want the children to have it or something like that, you know. So, no, we leave it up to the family. If there isn't a choice, then, you know, then we just kind of decide among ourselves what to do with it. But they're usually it goes to the kids, you know, a lot of times.
The speech that you use during the ceremony, is that a specific speech that has some historical significance to it, or is it something that y'all came up locally with?
No, it's actually one that's pretty much used throughout the United States.
Okay.
And, we're not only just a local chapter, but there's, a national chapter. Nurse Honor Guards are around the world.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, it's pretty cool to know that everyone does this.
Well, I didn't realize that. I saw the newspaper article a couple of years ago about the Honor Guard and things of that nature. I didn't realize how prevalent it was. So it's pretty much nationwide then. Oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay. And I know your local chapter was Grand Marshals at the Christmas parade a couple of years ago. That had to be special for you to get that kind of recognition.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. And to see, this was a little bit after COVID, and just seeing how appreciative everyone was of nursing in general, all the thank yous that we received at that time, and as we're going through the parade route, so a lot of thank yous, and people were very appreciative of nurses and,
Sure,
medical
sure.
professionals in general.
And you seem like the local chapter has grown quite a bit, so you have a lot of nurses who want to be part of your honor guard, obviously. It's not like sort of the old slang, pulling teeth to get people to join. It seems like you don't have a problem with membership.
So we have 20 active members.
Okay.
We have a lot of people that are very interested that are on our page that are nurses. We would like them to come join us, please, and it just helps in general. So if there's a service, like I'm still working full time,
Sure,
right?
sure.
And there are a few that are retired. So maybe it's at a time that, we can't, go and participate, but maybe they could, So the more people we have, the more flexible we can become and more areas we can serve, because we do service 10 counties.
Oh, 10 counties.
10.
So I'm sure you stay very busy doing that.
Yeah, so we're just trying to get our word out so other people will know that we provide the service. So if you're one of the counties that touch our county, then we will provide a service for you.
Do you have nurses who maybe want to be part of your group, but maybe the ceremony is a little intimidating to them? Are there other roles that nurses can play that maybe they don't have to perform the ceremonies at the various events you go to?
Oh, sure, absolutely. Because we, provide a lot of donations and things. Maybe like, say, for instance, back to the strip. Maybe they'll be the person to kind of be in charge of gathering all the canned goods or the dog food. I know it sounds kind of weird that we get dog food, but we found out that actually from Meals on Wheels that a lot of elderly would rather feed their animals than themselves. So we collected bags and bags and bags of dog food so it could be distributed to the elderly so they could feed their animals and then they can eat themselves, right?
So obviously y'all give back to the community. It's just not a matter of performing ceremonies, but you also give back to the community. You talked about Meals on Wheels and back to the strip. Are there other things that you're doing?
Yes. So we also accept donations and take donations to DCS. So for the kids that have been removed from homes, they need clothing, shoes, backpacks, and things like that. Because a lot of times they can't bring what they had at home, so they need something to, have a fresh start.
Sure.
We also perform an annual memorial service where maybe someone that has passed away did not have the pleasure of a service, so we actually call the names of all those people that have passed. We also are working on a scholarship that we're going to hopefully give in May to a high school senior that is that's going to the LPN program actually.
Okay.
And actually this year, if we can get this off the ground and presented, our goal is to do it in the name of someone that we've performed a service for.
Okay.
So for instance, this year, because Miss Paula Porter was our first service that we performed, we're also going to donate a scholarship in her name this year. So she was a very instrumental RN charge nurse that didn't play. Loved her. She was excellent.
Okay, good, good. Going back to the ceremonial part of
Yeah.
things, the I don't want to call it uniform. I'm a military guy. Is the what you're wearing today, is that typical of your particular chapter, or is that sort of a standard that you build from? How did you come up with that, which looks very nice?
Thank
How
you.
did you come up with that design and those colors?
So this is the standard uniform. The cape is
Okay.
right now. The as far as the dress, that can change. Some groups, they maybe wear a scrub top and scrub pants.
Right.
We just chose in our chapter to wear the traditional dress, and it's part of our bylaw. And this is, typical nursing. If you've seen a nurse years ago, what did you see them in? All
Oh
whites,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
White hose, white shoes, with the cap on, right?
Right.
And so that's what we want to honor. So we're going to stick true to that.
You know, it's interesting how that's changed over the years. As you mentioned
Yeah.
that was the typical sort of attire for nurses. I mean, you knew that they were a nurse based on what they were wearing and especially with the hat. But that's changed over the years. I mean,
It
I mean,
has.
even with doctors, I must admit, with
Yeah.
doctors, and I guess with the onset of scrubs and being more convenient, we sort of went through that issue when I was in the military. I was a medic in the Air Force, and we had our Air Force uniforms, and they were whites. Everybody knew the medics because we all were in whites, and then that started to change over the years as scrubs started to become more and more popular. We would wear them in the operating room because we had to. We couldn't wear
Sure.
our whites there, but more and more people started wanting to wear scrubs down in the clinical setting and things of that nature, and that started to change. I mean, we would come in the morning in our uniform and change into scrubs and be with them all day.
Yeah.
So it's funny how that's changed over the years.
There's a love-hate with that, right? So, because I'm, 30 years in nursing, right? So, of course, when I came through, it was absolutely, you did not wear anything but white.
Right.
And you were wearing a dress for the most part. And you still had the hose on, even if you wore pants.
Right.
So, and then to see it change, it's almost, I know they're looking at it as more updated and more 21st century, I guess, but I don't know. This was like the original, just made you really feel truly as a nurse. I don't know a better way to say that. But
Yeah, I can understand that. I can understand the tradition. I know there was some justifications, if you will, for wearing scrubs when I was still in the military, because if we would go in our uniform, white top, white
Right.
pants, and sometimes we would put a white scrub top over, take
Sure.
our shirt off, and use a scrub top over that. But there was people who would say, well, if you got your white pants on and a scrub top on, and you're in a surgical environment, and there's various fluids being thrown around, because I worked in a dental office in oral surgery and things. Well, you got your pants on, you go home with possible contaminants in your pants. So that was a lot of people's justification for going to full scrubs at that point.
Sure.
Was from a infection control issue, and yeah, a little bit of that was like, yeah, you're sort of right. You could be taking some things home you don't want to, but a lot of people just felt it more sort of comfortable in some ways of wearing scrubs.
It is comfortable. However, whether you're wearing colored scrubs or not, are you still not taking things home?
Well, the thing about that, I failed to mention.
Yeah.
We had a soiled linen bag, so
Okay,
those
sure.
scrubs would go in there in the
Okay.
office. Then you would get back into your normal uniform. So that was sort of the criteria was, well, we take the scrubs off, we throw them in the soiled linen back, and then we put our uniform back on. So we are not taking those
Sure.
contaminants
Right.
home. But of course, in the civilian environment, that's not an issue because you could be in scrubs all day long,
Right.
obviously, and still do the same thing as you mentioned, still take stuff like that home. But it just seemed like in years past, the nursing uniform, white uniform, seemed so clean and sanitized, even if you would,
Yeah.
compared to the current use of scrubs and things of that nature. I like that look too when it came to nursing.
I know a lot of times, a lot of the nurses say, oh, but, whites will get dirty. But if you really think back, truly, how many nurses that wore the white did you see any stains on?
Well, yeah.
You did not.
You didn't.
So,
You did.
and I could proudly say that did not happen to me. So, whether you're using Scotch Guard or whatever, you were very careful. And, yeah, we just didn't have stains on us like that.
Did you say you have seen ceremonies where some of the nurses would be in scrubs, or? Oh, really?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, nice.
They're still white.
Right.
But yes, as a matter of fact, my cousin's, Tracy Williams, her ceremony, and I think I included a picture where I was standing with them. I'm wearing green, though, per their request. But
Right.
yes, you'll notice that they're in pants. So there are several, they choose to wear pants, and maybe, like for men, because they can be part of our group too,
Right, right.
Obviously, they're not going to wear a dress, so
Sure.
they can wear their scrub pants, right? And so, maybe it's more of a comfort thing, so everyone looks the same all across the board. But, yeah, to me, it wouldn't matter. You can mix and match how the male in their white scrub pants and the girls, women still wear their dresses, either one.
Do you have any men in your chapter?
Not active.
Not active.
So we're begging, please.
What do you think would be, if a male wanted to join and be part of the ceremony?
Sure.
Would you sort of require them to be in some kind of white uniform under a cape, or would the males, they would wear capes too, I'm sure, right?
Actually, they do.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
So you probably would require them to be in something white
Yes.
under that.
So
Okay.
white scrub top, white scrub bottom, white
Okay.
shoes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I think it'd be better if they was in some kind of pants and top versus scrubs. To me, scrubs takes away from the ambiance of the ceremony. But that's just me. That's
I
just
understand.
me. Yes, it's me. You talked about donations. How would someone make donations to the Honor Guard?
Sure. Actually, you can contact our chapter president, Lisa Donaldson, and I'll give you that number.
Okay.
You can call her or contact me, and get in contact with us, and then, we'd be happy to accept any donations. We are a 50.
501c3.
Yes, thank you.
We were having fun with that.
I can't keep up with the numbers. But yes, so yes, we do. And we've received several donations, like High's Funeral Home, I think McMinnville Funeral Home has donated. A lot of family members, after we've performed services, have donated. They were just really touched by what we've done, which is we're very thankful for that. And until you see a ceremony, which I can forward a video for you, it's pretty touching.
I can imagine after going through, those type of ceremonies in the military and doing the honors and having taps played and things of that nature, it does. I'm sure it's as much emotional as those ceremonies. Social media, y'all have a Facebook page?
We do.
Okay.
Yes.
Have a Facebook page. What about a website?
We do not.
Not have a website, but you are on Facebook.
We are on
Okay.
Facebook,
Which
yes.
is sort of the main source of people's social media and things of that nature.
Yeah, we need to work on that.
Yeah, well, as you say, y'all have other things y'all have got going on, so I can understand that sometimes you just can't do everything.
Yeah.
You just can't do everything.
Do
but
one thing, do it well.
yeah, I always felt that way too. I sometimes call myself what is that saying? Do many but master a few, or something like that. People who get into so many different things don't do it really well. But yeah, I agree with you. Do it well, and I think the ceremonies that y'all do obviously are well received from the comments that I've heard and from what you said today. And I think it's something that you should be very, very proud of us. There's been a number of stories in the newspaper about the things that y'all are doing, so that's always a good sign that you're doing good things. What do you see for the future? Is there any major plans to change anything, or just sort of keep going the way you're going?
Kind of keep going the way we're going. Hopefully get more members.
Okay.
And we would like to do more things. And we can only do that if we have active members,
Right.
An active membership. Continue to donate to our community, because everyone needs a little help, so, yeah.
Do you do any type of recruiting? I'm sure if you go to events or whatever, you try to recruit some new members, obviously.
Sure, like the graduating nursing class, what better, role? They're fresh, they're excited, get them in. Because a lot of us have been around for a minute, and if nothing else, as a mentorship, right? So, but yeah, we'd love to. We do try to recruit. Anytime we see someone out at Walmart, hey, such and such, you need to come to one of our meetings, or oh yes, I will, and then we don't see them.
Do y'all go to those events like the ceremonies, the pinning ceremonies? Like, is it what they call them when they graduate from the nursing programs? Do y'all attend those kind of events?
We have been to a couple of them, not a lot, and that would be, we probably need to do that a little bit more too, in uniform, so they can kind of see, see us. But actually, if I'm not mistaken, we're supposed to be performing a ceremony coming up at one of them, so or at least to give them an idea of what we do. And like I said, once you see it, can't forget it. It's pretty impressive in my opinion.
I'm sure. You talked about the scholarship that hopefully you're going to be able to do.
Yes.
If you are able to do the scholarship, you'll probably be, or whoever will be, probably presenting that in uniform.
Yes,
I'm sure.
absolutely.
Yeah. So anytime that you can sort of get a little bit of a PR for the program and be in uniform, y'all try to take advantage of that.
We do, absolutely. And also this year we're hoping to have a booth at the fair.
Oh, okay.
So to put up photos of some of the, photos that we've taken at ceremonies that we've been to, have our brochures and flyers, so people can come by and pick up one, ask questions, we'll be happy to answer anything that, any questions that someone has. So we're just trying to get out there. We're really trying to get out there.
Yeah. Well, I think y'all have done a good job of that, just some of the articles I've seen in the paper and things of that nature. And as you know, especially during funerals and ceremonies of that nature, it can be really emotionally taxing for the family. And if you bring that little bit of comfort to them and the appreciation, I'm sure that, that you were willing to come out and do a specific ceremony for their family member. I'm sure they really appreciate that.
And sometimes it's emotionally taxing for us too,
because
we have worked with them, right? So, over the years, no matter what field or specialty that you work in, eventually you all cross paths, right? Sure. So we've all touched each other at one point in time or another, So like, for instance, I had mentioned Miss Paula Porter. She was my charge nurse. And when I was a fresh brand new nurse, and she was a force. I've said that before, but the reason I bring her up is because I remember at one point in time, I don't remember if this was mid-90s, there was a tornado that came through, I think up on the mountain somewhere, and we had a lot of patients coming to be treated and staying at the hospital, and I remember having a patient that did not want me to be his nurse.
Oh, wow.
And he, wanted another nurse, and so she was the charge nurse that day, and she just stepped in the room with her hands on her hip and said, what you don't know is you've got one of the best nurses here, but if you don't want her, I'm not reassigning another nurse to you, you can just leave.
Wow.
They left, so, but she was very, like I said, she didn't play, and she stood up for what she believed in. So it's true. It's fitting that she was our first tribute.
Yeah. And I guess just thinking sort of, and it may be a stereotype of nursing, that y'all have that compassion anyway. It seemed like something like this would be something that would be very fitting because of that compassion that you sort of think and hope that all nurses would have. And you sort of smiling. Is that not always the case?
Well, look, that is the goal. That's what we're hoping, right? Is that, nurses are in it for helping, right? And, I hope that's the case. Most of the ones I've met are,
Right.
So there's always one in any bunch. It doesn't matter.
Yeah,
right?
I'm sure.
But for the most part, everybody that I've met enjoy their job, love their job, and they're there for the patient.
Yeah. All right. Well, Shauna, thank you for coming in today. We're going to get together for a third episode that we just talked about earlier, but really appreciate you coming in today and talking to us about the Honor Guard and
Thank you.
great things that y'all are doing. And we'll get that information out to anybody that may want it as far as donations and things of that nature.
Sure.
But wish you and your organization all the best.
Thank you.
And thanks for coming in again.
Thank you.
And thank you for joining us today. Please join us for the next edition of Soul of Warren County. Until then, this is Mickey Gwynn, hoping that you make today and every day a great day.